Starting rotation got announced this morning. Could you kind of walk us through the decision process there, and was it relatively easy? Those guys kind of separate themselves.
I think the first two were easy. I feel like that Connor has pitched well since day one in the fall. I think he definitely deserved to pitch this weekend, obviously start this weekend, and he's got more experience, and we're going to let him go game one. A lot of times you never know how that's going to go with a little nervousness going on there. And then Hagen Smith, he's thrown outstanding, especially since we got back after the holidays. He deserves to start. And then, the third one with Wiggins and maybe a couple others, you could probably go either way. But Jackson's got some experience, been a little bit up and down. So we decided to go with Jackson, and like all of them, if it doesn't go well, we'll just go to the next guy. We've got some depth, and we've got to figure some things out early anyway.
What's your opening day lineup going to be as far as you can tell?
Probably unless something happens today at workout or somebody gets hurt, we'll behind the dish we'll have Michael Turner, Stovall will play first, Moore at second, Battles at short, Wallace at third, Slavens in right, Gregory in center, and Borfin in left. DH probably be Chris Lanzilli. That'll probably be what we go with, start out.
What's Gregory Sonia in center?
Well, he's still learning that position. Is he a true center fielder? We'll find out. Defensively on paper, Webb is more of experience there, but we're going to give Zach the start. He gets better every day. We just want to catch what he's supposed to catch and go from there.
Starting out, will you have a closer, or are you going to do it by committee starting the season?
We've got a few guys in mind, but it's definitely going to be by committee. You can, if you just look at, a lot of people feel like you have to have a power arm at the back, and we've got some guys that can bring it. Gabe Starks is a guy that his stuff is really good. He just, doesn't have very much experience. He's been up to 97, 98. He's going to pitch 94, 95. He's got a great cutter and slider. Guys don't know what it is. Heston Toll's kind of a longer guy, doesn't throw super hard, but he's got a good breaker. We have Nick Griffin now that's coming on. I think we're going to give him some opportunity. He may end up being a starter for us before the season's over with the left-hander. I could go through more, but it's just, I guess to answer your question, it'll just be by feel during the game and what we're seeing and probably what we think the best matchup is.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you about who was in the running with Wiggins, like who could be your longer, more extended guys who, when you get into the midweeks, get starts.
Yeah, I think Mark Adamiak has been throwing extremely well, but the second pitch of our scrimmage on Saturday, Peyton Stovall hit one 100 miles an hour off his shin. So that was it for him. And had it looked at, it's not broken. You could see him as early as tomorrow out of the pen for long relief. We could piggyback him with one of the other guys on the weekend, but he was battling to possibly get a start too, and he's pretty much been sitting 95, 96 with a good breaker and a good changeup, and he's gotten a lot better. He just needs a little more experience. He went out and pitched in the Cape Cod League. I think he gained experience there, and he gained a lot of confidence, and he's just continued to get better.
Where do you see Zeb and Cole Ramage?
So both of them seem to be pitching really well right now. I think Ramage is the one that jumps out at me when you mention those two. I think we're seeing, if it doesn't change from what I've seen, it's the best he's ever been since he's been here. His velocity's up. The breaking stuff is good, throwing a lot of strikes. You can't just sit around and wait for him to throw a cutter or a slider because he'll get you with the heater at about 91, 92 now. I think it's just maturity, age. He's healthy. Zeb threw really well in our last scrimmage. He's sitting 94, 96. He's a guy that I think he's better if you just go an inning or two with him and just say get after it. Don't pace yourself. And, we just need him to finish inning, get 2 quick outs and then, throw some balls. We got to get rid of that stuff because if we can get him out there for 1 inning, we can use him twice on the weekend. If he goes out there and throws too many pitches, obviously, then we kind of burn him for the week. It's what coach has been talking, with our pitching staff about the last couple of weekends. They would have great half inning or three outs, and then the fourth out didn't happen, and just took forever in that second inning. And so we have to go off of what they're showing us. And but it also, if it was real series, it's going to burn some people for the weekend that we'd like to be able to use again.
What do you feel like is the biggest kind of unanswered question that you have going into this weekend that maybe actually playing a real opponent might kind of help iron out?
The biggest is, the bullpen a little bit, and maybe, if you go off of what we've seen since September, a couple of guys stood out starting is maybe that third spot. And if you think back, though, a year ago from now, we didn't really know who was going to pitch, end up being okay. You don't want to live on the edge like that. I mean, you look at Illinois State, they got two of their starters back and their closers now their number 3 starter. So they know where they're at. We have a lot of good options, but it's definitely a little bit of the starting pitching, but also maybe how to handle the game towards the end. And I think that'll evolve a little bit. It has to.
Do you have kind of pitch counts in mind for your starters this weekend? And is it different for a veteran like Connor versus a true freshman like Hagan?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, obviously the experience that Connor has, he's seen a lot. He's seen some good days and some rough days. He's weathered the storms. He's gotten himself in great shape. And obviously I felt like he should go game 1, whether he stays on Friday all year or we move him around a little bit. I feel like he's a starter, with Hagan Smith. He's a freshman. He hasn't shown us one time that he's intimidated or he fears throwing a pitch. The kid just attacks. He works fast. He's earned his spot. Our whole team knows he should be starting. There's not any conflict there.
Do you have any good idea of pitch counts?
Okay,
Those
so
guys?
yeah, I mean, they've built up. It could be 60, 65, could be 70, maybe not quite that many. And again, it depends on, is it an easy 60 or is there a lot of stress? Or is it one of those innings you throw 29 pitches, then it's probably going to be shorter.
From Illinois State.
Well, I know their coaching staff real well, and I just feel like that they'll have him physically and mentally ready to play. Like I said a few times in the past, they beat us a couple times over the last 4 or 5 years. So I expect it to be some really good ball games. They have an experienced pitching staff, it looks like. They've replaced a lot of their hitters from last year, but there's a reason that they scheduled this. I'm sure they felt like that when we did this, they had pitchers coming in or pitchers already in the program that they felt could give us all we could handle. So I expect it to be a really good series. We're gonna have to fight them.
Griffin, where is he in terms of stamina, pitch count? Is he behind the other pitchers because of what he's come back from?
Well, he had Tommy John surgery. It's been about 16 months now, and so yeah, I mean, there's a period there where you don't do anything, and then you rehab, and I mean, from where he was, even when we got back, or let's say where he was when we left for the holidays, kind of all over the place, throwing the ball in the 80s to now he's been up to, I mean, honestly, almost mid-90s. And I'm not saying every pitch, but he was scattering the ball a lot. Now he's not. And I feel like it's just getting better and better. He's got a really good slider. He's got a good changeup. Obviously, his fastball's got some life. He's a good athlete. I think he's got a little attitude on the mound. We like what we've seen. It hasn't all been perfect, but that's kind of the way it works whenever you're trying to return a little bit from an injury. So I feel like that his stamina is good. I think he could go 40, 50 pitches right now without a problem. Now, can he get him out? We'll see.
Looking down here on the field, looks like there's a tarp on the outfield. Do you feel like the field's going to be in pretty good shape for tomorrow?
Yeah, the field will be real good. It's we had a little issue with, it's just like anything else. You got to see what you see, and the building is cut off the sun, obviously, and we've had, so when we had that little ice and snow, it got pretty packed down there, and then it never really got any sun, and I don't think it was, you learn, probably too much driving around on it with the little gators, compacted it down, and they had to work hard to get it off. So now they You know, we just got a brand new tarp, so it's on the regular game field. Our other tarp, with I think they made it into 2 tarps, and they put it along the outfield in that area just because they had it just about right. They wanted to make sure that they kept it as dry as they could. They've worked extremely hard. Our grounds crew has done a tremendous job so far. Our field's in really good playing shape. It's obviously it's not as green. The grass isn't as green as it's going to be in a month or two, but the dirt's fantastic and everything else is good.
How was Webb doing physically? I think he said he had a quad, and how much did that maybe slow him down a little bit?
He's about 85%. I asked him yesterday, and that was what he came out. I said, "What are you?" He said about 85%. He's looked really good in our scrimmages. He's hit the ball well. He's run and caught the ball. He's running the bases, but I won't let him run full speed. He's probably been going 80, 90%. It's still pretty good. It's better than a lot of people that we have at 100%. So he's ready to go. You know, it's tough trying to figure out who to play out there, to be honest with you. I think you're going to see him a lot.
You mentioned earlier Ramage looks as good as he's been since he's been here. What kind of role do you see for him? Is he a guy who could give you multiple innings, or what kind of role do you see for him?
I think he can give us multiple innings. We could use him twice on the weekend, an inning here, an inning there. We could use him once on the weekend, 3 to 4 innings probably. He could possibly start for us in some midweek games. He's done that a lot. But I think we're going to use him a lot more on the weekend. If he shows, you know, in games now what he's been showing against us in our scrimmages, I think, you know, he probably won't be available on Tuesday nights. And I like the experience, the confidence. You know, he knows what it takes to win at this level.
Hey, in the scrimmages that we've seen out here on the field, doesn't seem like Caden Wallace gets out very much. Have you seen that indoors too? And how well do you think that translates into the games that you've got coming up?
Yeah, I mean, you've seen what we've seen. It's been really good. Batting practice, work ethic, leadership, it's off the charts. You know, I just wish I had him a 3rd year, you know, because when we brought him in here until they moved that draft, we had him for 3 years. Now we're only going to have him for 2. But I think he'll have a special year if he stays healthy. And, yeah, we've got good pitching, and our pitchers have a hard time getting him out, that's for sure.
This year, or is that just based on your
Yeah,
conversation?
it's still out there, but it could change with all that's going on. But as of right now, I think it's like mid to late July. You know, it used to be in June. And the way it works, if you turn 25, if you turned 21 within 45 days of the draft, you're eligible. So if it was obviously July 1st, you know, your birthday was August, 15th or somewhere in there, 25th. You know, it's hurt a lot of teams, talking to some coaches, but it's exciting for the players. They have 2 years to make a decision, and but I think in Wallace's case, it's probably not going to be a hard decision from what I'm seeing.
When you signed him 3 years ago, you didn't think he was going to be a 2-year draft guy. That's
We
based
thought
on.
we thought he was going to be here for 3 years, and you know, but we're just glad he's here. I'm happy for him that he's done so well. I mean, it's happened before. You know, I remember we thought we were going to have Ryan Stanek for 2 years after he turned down the draft, went in the 3rd round, and then they moved the draft forward more to the early June, and he got clipped, and he was not happy. But you know what? It ended up being the best thing ever for him. His junior year was a lot better year, and he ended up going in the 1st round. So, you know, you never know how it's going to work. But, yeah, we're just at their mercy, and I don't really want to talk about it too much anymore.
Turner starting at catcher for you. How much do you expect to see Leach this year? I mean, could you see more of a two-system guy at catcher this year than we have in the past?
Leach will catch at least one game, start at least one game, may split another. I see a lot better player than last year. And I talk about Dylan all the time, that when he was here last year, realistically, that was his senior year. And he played behind a great catcher. He came in to learn. But he's gotten physically – he's made a real physical move this year. The bat's better from both sides. I feel like he's catching the ball better. I think our pitchers have more confidence in him than they had last year to throw to him. He's going to catch a lot for us, I would see, yeah.
We saw Lanzilli's home run off Connor. I mean, those outfield decisions have to be really, really tough for you. What have you seen from him specifically to lead the DH?
Yeah, you know, I just feel like that. Obviously, our lineup's pretty left-handed. You know, we have a switch hitter in there, which is nice, but our left-handers can hit lefties. I mean, I haven't with any of them. I mean, that doesn't matter to me. I'm not planning on platooning because they're left-handed, but it just is. It's nice to have a little bit of a mix in there, and you know, Webb's right there. I mean, he could start it. I could have started him without any issues. Yeah, it's difficult to maybe select one here, one there. I think it'll all work itself out, and I'll move them around a little bit. And I feel like, for the most part, probably one of the extra two outfielders that really should get in the game, because there's 5 of them that could play, I think, and then they'll probably DH a little bit. And you know, if we needed to, we could take Slavens back over to first. We didn't work him out over there at all in the fall, and he was kind of banged up, couldn't throw, and he's still just getting healthy. So he could go back to first if we needed him to, but Stovall's played great over there. Yeah, you know, and I don't see him moving around too much. You could see Stovall get a little action at second base when I move Robert around or give him a day off, and Stovall's pretty good over there as well. So it'll work itself out.
You mentioned Illinois State's got the veteran Friday and Saturday guys. What do you see out of those two?
A lot of strikes. You know, you got a right-hander going game 1. It's not like he's got overpowering stuff. You know, he's going to probably be right around 90. Who knows how our board's going to read, high, low, in between. You never know. But, you know, that's what he does. He pitches. And he pitches to contact a little bit. You know, he didn't have a strikeout per inning, but he had a lot of strikeouts as well. And then the lefty that's going to go on Saturday is he's not a power lefty. He can pitch. He's going to give up some hits. He gave up more hits in innings last year, but his numbers were about the same as the Friday guy. So just veterans, you know, probably aren't going to beat themselves too much. I feel like we're going to have to hit our way on. They're not going to walk us and hit us, and you know, we need to grind out some at bats and try to get some pitch counts up and get into that bullpen.
I had a question about a couple of your freshman pitchers. Matt said the other day that Moten had an illness a couple of months ago that had kind of delayed him. Where is he right now with his stamina?
Yeah, he had his best bullpen since he's been back yesterday. So it might be a situation where maybe he can throw an inning or two this weekend, maybe later in the weekend. I don't know about Friday, maybe not even Saturday, but maybe we could get him an inning on Sunday. Try to get him out there because he had such a good fall, and you know, we haven't even really used him at all this early spring, but he's fine physically as far as arms and that type of stuff. He's got to get his stamina up, and we just didn't want to rush him. You know, we just feel like we don't have to rush anybody right now. We want to use guys, but we don't want to. Man, we got to keep him ready for the middle of the season.
We haven't seen Trapani. Is he injured, or did he just not fit into the plans?
Yeah, he's had some back issues, to be honest with you. You know, he's kind of, as of right now, he's probably looking at a red shirt unless things change. Back's been bugging him.
Anything else? Yeah, Illinois State's coach said he liked the way your team respects the game and the opposition and doesn't talk. I mean, that just happened by accident, I tell you.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to our team about that, about when we play other teams. You know, there's a lot of, you know, an old word, shenanigans going on in the dugouts and a lot of stuff that I don't think it really has a place in baseball, maybe other sports. You know, it's one thing to get excited and cheer for your own team, and that's part of it. But as far as rah-rah and getting on the other team and acting the way some teams do, hey, if that's what they do, that's what they do. They run their own program, but you know, example in our league, I don't think Florida's good. They're like us. We respect each other. O'Sullivan and I, you know, our comments are when we just play each other. We just play baseball. And there's some teams that it's a little different. And I appreciate him saying that. I feel like that's kind of his style too, and I think we need more of that. I think that's just the way this game's supposed to be played. You don't play once a week for 14 weeks or whatever. You get after it 3 and 4 times a week for 13, 14 weeks, and then you got playoffs. And there's a time to maybe let them go a little bit And I've done that in the past when other teams are out of control and maybe it's not going good for us. I'll say, hey, I'm going to turn my head right now. You guys can get after them if you want to, because I've had enough. And that happened one time in conference last year after the first game of the year when it got a little chirpy and mouthy and about how great they were, and we won the next 2 games. So bottom line, whatever. So I appreciate that, and that's why I like playing them, because we're just going to play baseball and try to get better.
All right, thanks for your time, Coach.
Okay.